This is one of my favourite projects. It was basically in which we had to just decorate a pair of shoes.
Meet Noor Qasim, one of the 280,000 students in England who've had their A-levels downgraded.
I guess it was just my way of trying to do art with the human anatomy. I'm really interested in human anatomy and the physical understanding of the body.
Noor wants to be a doctor, but she didn't get the grade she needs in her chemistry A-level. The pandemic has been particularly cruel for her.
I've suffered 2 losses in my family because of this pandemic, and it's just been very difficult. I think it's just been tough on everyone because of it.
Are you still hopeful that you'll be a doctor?
I am hopeful. I'm not going to give up hope. It's my dream.
Noor goes to Derby High. It's a private school. 73% of students got A star to B grades, but 44% of them have seen at least one of their A-levels downgraded.
We're looking at individual students, some of which have had their life chances thwarted. That's what we're looking at here. It's irrelevant what school they're at.
But it's not, is it? Because people in independent private schools have actually fared better because of the smaller cohorts, the smaller numbers in those classes, than students elsewhere.
Some have and some haven't.
Derby High's head has backed Labour's call for the results to be scrapped and replaced with teachers' predicted grades. Scotland has already done that. Northern Ireland is resisting such a move, and Gavin Williamson is putting the emphasis on appeals rather than a U-turn.
We've asked Ofqual and the exam boards for any of those schools that submit appeals on behalf of those pupils in good time to make sure that those are turned round before the 7th of September. And we're asking all universities to show the maximum amount of flexibility.
Fine, says the Vice-Chancellor at the University of Derby, but we'll need more money.
We can be flexible in the support that we give, which will be additional support and probably more support than we'd ever given before. I suppose the request from universities is, how will Gavin Williamson support us to give that flexible support?
Back at Derby High, Lizzy plans to appeal her results. Her mother, traditionally a Conservative voter, says she's appalled by the government's actions.
We are in exceptional times and we're dealing with exceptional circumstances. Business leaders will understand that this is a year where those grades were treated in a different way and are bright enough to actually work that out. So, you know, just back down and accept the teachers' predicted grades.
How can the government put an algorithm in, give me those grades when they have no idea what I'm capable of?
There is one small crumb of comfort for Lizzy and the thousands of other teenagers in the same position. It's understood the government is considering scrapping the fee for unsuccessful appeals.
Well, Professor Julia Buckingham is Vice-Chancellor of Brunel University in London and President of Universities UK. If the Education Secretary did for England what the Scottish Government did there and just restored all the teacher assessments, what would that mean for your process of admitting people to university?
Well, obviously, we would have to look at the results. And if it led to, as I would suspect, a large number of grades being uplifted, universities would have to think very hard about how best they could accommodate those students. And I want to make it absolutely clear right from the outset, universities have students' best interests at heart. And we are very keen to do all we can in what is an incredibly difficult time for everybody to make sure that we can support students and do the very best that we can. But there do have to be some limitations on what we can do. Firstly, for some courses, it is just simply not possible to have very large numbers of students. For example, courses like medicine, which are restricted by definition in number, and we have to provide placements within the NHS.
So some people will just have to wait.
So there will be problems there. There are also, as I'm sure you'll understand, we are all aiming to open our campuses when we return to term next term. But we are going to have to work very hard to ensure we've got good social distancing. So universities are actually working out exactly how each room is going to be used for every hour of every day in the term. So suddenly having in a huge tranche of extra students is very, very difficult for us. But that said, we are working to be as flexible as we possibly can. I know a number of my colleagues have reduced the grade offers to students, but my advice to students is firstly, talk to the university that you applied to. It might take a little time to get direct access to the tutor, but please talk to them, see what your options are, see whether it's possible to be moved to another course, but also talk to your teacher and listen to their advice about the appeal process. We don't know what it looks like yet.
Yes, well, that's the point. We don't know what the appeal process is yet. So there's no point talking to your teacher right now, is there? I mean, do you agree that this is a mess? You know, teachers said they saw it coming, so did students, did you?
It's not a situation that any of us would want to be in. That's I want to be perfectly clear about. But going back to my earlier point, it is worth talking to your teacher, because I think it's worth understanding your teacher's perspective at this point, so that when we understand what the appeals process looks like, students are well prepared to make that appeal. They need to work with teachers, and my understanding is that the appeals will go through schools to Ofqual. So I think it's very, very important that students talk to their teachers, they talk to their parents, and they make sure they get themselves in the best position. But we want to help students. We want to see as many students who are able and qualified to come to university to join us this autumn.
What do you make of the fairness of this? I mean, if we look at the numbers, it's clear that private schools have had an advantage, that they've got more top grades than pupils at further education colleges. So what do you make of the fairness of what has happened?
Well, I think it's very difficult, and without understanding the details of the algorithm, it's difficult to make any clear comments. But obviously, we all want to see every student from whatever background having the same opportunities. So where there are differences, I think we need to understand why those differences have emerged. And I think we need to be making sure through this appeal process that able students get the grades that they deserve and that they can progress either to university or to whatever else they wish to do in their lives.